Slovenian activists, many of whom were linked to the Slovenian, I like to call it TIGR, Trieste, Istria, Gorizia, Rijeka, resistance movement. And I should point out that burning schools down was a very long habit in the region when people were engaging in struggle against another ethnic or linguistic group. They would just go burn their school down. Okay, so there is this spectacular but fairly narrow resistance, and far more common were those thousands of parents who accepted the on-air schools and even sought eagerly after them. For in this desperately poor region, with both parents working, the schools provided childcare, medical assistance, clothing, shoes, and a hot meal daily to children who would otherwise be gnawing on a piece of bread for lunch. If this was the price to pay for learning a few songs and poems in Italian, well, this too could prove useful in a world that, as far as the locals could see, would continue to be run by the Italians. Hence, learning or improving one's Italian was seen by many parents as a route to upward mobility. And just a little parenthesis, many children in the region, when the school would have its festival at the end of the year, they would perform and sweets were distributed. And these were probably the only sweets these children ever ate, and they were remembered with great fondness. Now, if fascism brought more resources to On-Air, it also introduced a new sexual division of associational labor. For when, in the winter of 1925 to 26, Council Delegate Bona Luzzatto retired, she was replaced not by another female member of the Executive Council, but rather by a man, the Colonel Nino della Santa. With his accession to the key post of Council Delegate, which was linchpin of the entire operation, an entirely new phase opened for the opera, whose stabilization as a key ente morale on the linguistic frontiers of fascist Italy was accompanied by a new sexual division of labor where all posts on the ground, teachers, visiting nurses, regional inspectors, remained in the hands of an increasingly trained and professionalized corps of women, while posts of direction or administration gradually passed into the hands of men, beginning with the Executive Council in Rome. Now let me just conclude. There's much more that I could say about the ongoing expansion of On-Air during the 1930s, usually in response to requests from local mayors across the region, most of whom were at the head of fascist municipalities. On-Air's regional inspectors refused the vast majority of these requests, pleading lack of resources. But these dossiers reveal as well a distinct reserve on the part of On-Air's local leadership vis-a-vis the local fascists, and I think this merits further exploration. On-Air's relationship with the national fascist regime was another matter altogether. Here, we're going to look at some kids. Indeed, On-Air prospered throughout the Ventennio, reaching its peak during the winter/spring of 1943, with a network of over 200 schools. You can see them all indicated on this map, with more than 10,000 children. It reached as far east as Ljubljana in 1942-43. After Mussolini's fall, however, in September 1943, the On-Air was inexorably sucked into the violent politics of retreat and retribution that devastated the region from July 1943 onward. By June 1945, the towns and villages of Venezia Giulia had been traversed repeatedly by all players. Italy's fast-retreating army, the German army, which subjected the region to a punishing scorched earth retreat, and the Italian and Yugoslav partisans. The exactions of all these forces, both material and human, would cost the region as much as a third of its pre-war civilian population by the time the British and American Allied military government, the AMG, had arrived in June of 1945. From the outset, the AMG sought to calm the intense civil strife by whatever means necessary, while coming to a temporary agreement with Tito's Socialist Republic regarding the areas of occupation to be assigned to the AMG versus Tito's Partigiani. The temporary agreement, which soon became permanent, divided what had been an Italian territory since 1919 to 20, leaving a significant part of Italia Redenta's schools and teachers on the Yugoslav side of the occupation in Dalmatia and Istria, while moving On-Air headquarters from AMG-occupied Trieste to the Friulian, hence Italian town of Udine, 40 kilometers to the north. The ONER's ongoing activism in the First Republic's much-reduced Venezia Giulia was soon buttressed by President de Gasperi, who, in 1948, signed a new law endorsing the ONER's central role in delivering nursery school services to the region. The law named former Omni stalwart and convinced eugenicist Aprilio Monaco to ONER's head, thus assuring an important continuity with Thatcher's years in the early Republican social policy regarding maternal and child welfare. Present at the ceremony was Regional Inspector Costantino Colonia, confirming the ongoing masculinization of ONER's administrative layers, but now at the regional level as well. The ONER would continue running the region's ever-growing network of rural and urban scuole materne along firmly Agazian lines until 1977. 9 years after the Italian state would finally make the scuola materna an obligatory phase of Italian education across the nation. Thanks very much for your attention. Would you like to see some